Recording is on.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the March 4th, 2021 DXdao community call. I'm Sky. I'm taking over this call from John. This is my first time, so forgive me if I mess it up. But every couple weeks we change, or every week we change what this call is about. And this week is going to be a recap of like DXdao happenings basically over the last 2 weeks. We're going to run through the different products, get updates from the squad leader of each product, and then we'll go through a couple of the calls from the week. And then at the end, there's a handful of topics, relevant topics that we've been discussing the last couple of weeks that if we have time, we can dive into those as well. So as per normal, we will start with Omen and hopefully get an update from Geronimo.
Yes, we are in preparation for releasing a new version, hopefully this week. It includes 3 bigger improvements. First is the bridge UI, which allows Omen users on mainnet to bridge DAI to XDAI. And then the opposite way, if the user is connected to XDAI, they can bridge the XDAI to mainnet again. The second one is a history tab inside the market details view. I think that is a bigger requested feature, which was a pull request for 4 months. So you see, it's like there was like a lot of issues on the subgraph, which we need to figure out until we actually got it done. So I'm really happy to have that included now. And we polished the connection flow. And yeah, so that's that. We're in the process of like getting a proper working group going in terms of like finalizing the governance system for the Omen Guild and defining like a specification for the Omen token, and that's mainly it.
Cool.
Any questions?
Any questions? And I think we have a couple more in the last couple of weeks, maybe one dev and then I think Pulp Machina plans to focus more on the Omen squad in terms of like Omen Guild and Omen token and some of the governance around Omen as well. So like Omen team has grown a little bit in the last couple of weeks too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I think the working group is like Tammy is basically leading it, and Pulp Machina is joining now too, and Augusto is basically the lead developer who's receiving the specification and then going to implement it.
Sweet. Great. So next we will move to Mesa. If Martin, if you could give an update on that.
Yeah, maybe I show my face. Yes, on Mesa side, there happened quite a lot. So we have like the final design from Bertie. He did like a desktop design, and this one we started to implement like 2 weeks ago almost, or 10 days ago. And we also have a mobile design. I don't know, maybe it makes sense to share it to everyone. Yeah, I'll put it afterwards in the chat. And then yeah, we had like 3 workers ending a trial, and all of them are now like full-time workers. They only did the proposal for the trials, but the full-time work proposal I think will come up on DXdao the next few days. We have like Hamza, who is level 1. He's working on the front end of Mesa, and he's working on the overview part. They split it, and Lee is working on the single page of Mesa, single page view, who is representing then one auction. And then we have Rui, who helps Nico on the smart contract side, and then Adam is working on infrastructure stuff and testing environment for the subgraph, and then what else? What's out there? So because we in a way we forked the easy auction contract, and Gnosis now named it Gnosis auction, and we share like similar. The code we have is quite similar. We use the point where they changed licenses from GPL to some other licenses, but there's a bounty out there who is like 5,000 USD to find problems in the Gnosis auction contract, who is very similar to our contract. And so in a way, yeah, we profit from them if somebody's finding anything. It's not so we added some stuff but it shares part of it. And yeah, we still don't have a name for. I start to call it the not easy auction. I start to call it point Dutch. And
What was that?
Point Dutch.
Point Dutch.
Yeah, because in a way it's a Dutch auction who is resolved on a point. So the long word is like point Dutch auction, and because easy, it's strange that if we still use the name who even Gnosis does not use anymore, because now they named it Gnosis auction. And yeah, the outlook is that so because we want to have more like a framework for IDOs, so Nico is working on to extend the smart contract anyway, who has then a very different structures. It's like an extension, and he's working on this right now, who has then nothing to do with the Gnosis stuff, who is really focused on this single sale mechanism. And yeah, we just are implementing the front end right now, and I think it takes some more time, but we are getting, I think, much more productive because the coordination calls we have daily, I think helps us. And also Venki, he is helping us setting up the Scrum style working, and in a way we had some progress because now it's just a natural way to work for us, and I think it's good for the team to it's good for us as a team, and we also because we can't implement it in just one sprint, so we need time, but I see progress there. Yes, I think that's from my side.
Great.
Any question?
We still have incoming interest around IDOs from a handful of projects. We have a few different scenarios, internal scenarios related to maybe using Mesa for internal actions. So it'll be exciting to start when it's ready to start testing it in some small way.
Yes, sometimes I think maybe we should really also go to Arbitrum, because in a way I think it's more like the future than DXdao, or not the future. It's not about the future. The question is where ends up the liquidity, or where is the money going? And if you're doing like an IDO on a chain and everyone has to bring their money to the chain until they can use it, then it's a much harder process in a way. And so I don't know, we will see on which chain we will start to publish it first, but I think it will not be mainnet, because in a way we want to try it out and have some small sales. And my idea is to try it out with just token sale. We sell 1 ETH over the auction and announce it, and then we see what's going on and how people are using the interface, and we get some feedback, and then we can improve. And in a way, yeah, I did like on my weekly, I did have a short presentation and about some it's research is the high word, but someone Hopper did like did a sale on XDAI. It was like a fixed price sale they did on XDAI, and mainly it was because they needed to raise capital to use it on the liquidity balancer pool they used for their real sale. So there you see, people use it on a, if it's very dedicated and the target group in a way, it's very professional because only people who have been running nodes have been allowed to be on the private sale. And so these are like the pros. And for them, I think it's no issue to need like to use XDAI for this. And it was the biggest XDAI sale whoever happened there was 2.5 million XDAI, I guess. And then they moved the liquidity to mainnet and used it there for the liquidity balancer bootstrapping pool. Who is in a way, I took part in some of them, and in a way I see it's a little bit like a fake fixed price sale. I don't think it's in the long run it's really a good solution to sell tokens out of different reasons. It has weaknesses, and we will see how maybe we can make it better. I know that PrimeDAO is working on an interface for the liquidity balancer pool sale, and looking forward to see this because then maybe it gets more usable. So this is just short outlook what others are doing in this area. Okay, I think that's
Cool. And I guess what you're describing with Mesa is what DXdao is preparing to do for all of our products, existing in a multi-chain world and deciding where to go and when to go there, and in some cases moving between chains and being ready for going where liquidity is and things like that.
Yeah, I think if you start a fresh product, then it's even more important to think where you're going to do it. Now it's very difficult to make any decision because you don't know how it develops. But if Arbitrum ends up with a whole lot of capital, people have capital there, then it would be a good solution to use it. Because I think that I'm not technically quite sure, but I think it's easier to use them than XDAI, or it's more integrated, or I don't have a good picture for it.
Cool. Great, thanks, Martin. So next we'll move to Swapper, and I think we have some interesting updates from Zet.
Yeah, we have some exciting things coming up. So it's crazy timing actually, because we just started working on the layer 2 interface and the network switcher, and we got Patrick helping us building that, and same day we get an update from MetaMask saying, hey, we are doing this now, and network switching is built into MetaMask. So I'm super happy. Like we talked about this for almost a half a year now, and we predicted this would happen. We didn't know when. So I sat up all night and just redesign everything again, and actually it's much more. I would say it's better and much simpler, and we can expand it to much more with the design I made now. We just need to try it out. No one has done this, right? So we're kind of first here. And even the documentation doesn't tell you everything. So we're doing the network switching for Swapper, and we will be able to try it out really, really soon. Federico, maybe you can talk about deploying XDAI.
Yeah. So I think also it's important to mention the smart routing, which is pretty much done and ready to be deployed. And for XDAI, we are, preparing the deployment there, and we're probably just expand to XDAI and be there more, just more, bring some liquidity. And as far as the deployment itself, we're preparing last details. I think by the end of the week we can be ready, and that's pretty much all, I think, from my side. And well, I think we can maybe talk a bit about the multi-chain work that we are doing, and also that also includes the subgraph and the DXstats, basically. So we are working there also to have multi-chain stats about liquidity, and that's basically all from me, I think. Yeah.
It. I mean, we kind of are like we needed to focus on farming, but this is too big to not, like, it's low hanging apples. We prepared a lot of this stuff for layer 2s, and we have routing done, and I would say it's good if we release it for testing, release it so we can try it out, and meanwhile farming is a much bigger task. We thought we would be finished earlier, but I think we had some bad estimates on that. So we'll release XDAI and the routing, and meanwhile we'll do the farming while we test.
Is it worth just briefly describing what smart routing is? And
yeah. So basically, it's a sort of routing that is done purely, entirely on the client side of things. So basically, prices are checked on different platforms, and basically the best price is always chosen. And when you actually perform a trade, for example, let's say on mainnet, you are trying to swap token A for token B, and prices are checked on Swapper, for example, for Uniswap, on Uniswap and on SushiSwap, for example. And let's say that the best price is on Uniswap. The call, the swap call, the transaction will actually be direct to Uniswap. So it's very important to say that you don't pay any additional fees. It's almost like going to the Uniswap app and doing the trade there, but instead you do it on Swapper, and that's basically it. It's just the DApp, the Swapper DApp, searches for the best price among different platforms, and it performs the trade on the platform so that you don't pay any additional gas, and that's it.
Yeah, basically it's like going to the site, making the trade. So we're simulating what many people are doing, especially now with high gases, going to like 1inch or going to different sites to just check the price and then doing the trade on the lowest or best price / lowest gas. And also, like for us on layer 2 we will be like kind of early on layer 2, and liquidity will not be as good as on mainnet. So being able to have this, I wouldn't call it aggregator because it's not our business, we're just routing. So having this router would make Swapper super relevant, especially now early in the layer 2 game. So yeah.
I wanted, I just had sort of a thought about this. I think maybe the term is mediation, because I don't know if you guys are familiar, but I was working in ad tech, and this is what we did. We had basically mediation that you get, you get traffic from the best source, and then we'd also have our kind of traffic source. And I think this is similar to what we're doing here, because we'll have like all the different possible exchanges, and then I guess one will also be the swapper liquidity. So I'm wondering if like mediation might be the right term for this, like DEX mediation.
I like smart routing. Smart seems to be like something people throw into things, and like
smart is good, right?
Yeah, smart's good, and like routing, I think is an okay description of what's happening, and I think like it needs to be like simple and easy, right? Because it's not like a crazy complex feature that's like going on. It's really just like a, But I do think we should agree on like a term.
I think like routing is good because it's a word people know, right? It's something you can almost understand. But if we have another word that is like almost directly describable what's happening. I mean, aggregator is not a good word either, and people use it, right?
Yeah, I think aggregator is kind of incorrect in this case. I mean, at least as people understand it, I think compared to like 1inch. The other word I think that might be accurate is switching, because it's kind of what you're doing. You're switching between either SushiSwap, Uniswap, or Swapper.
So if we check the like normal Web2 world, if this site existed and it didn't have their own pool, we would just call it like price comparison, right? It would be like a comparison site. It wouldn't be so techy in the name, right? It just be compare the prices and do your trade or something like that. It would be much simpler. But I think maybe we are in too deep, like in the tech world here. So we calling it like something. What it's doing? Maybe it's just like compares prices. And it's a comparison thing. But obviously we have our own pools, and it's not just comparing prices.
The key for me is, and the reason Zed, I think you want to use this, and the reason I want to use it is, if you go to 1inch, like you have these 80 different things, and like there's this extra cost to like using the aggregator and all that kind of stuff. When really I just want to know, like, I want this token, and I just want to do it on one of the simple, cheap exchanges like Uniswap, SushiSwap, or Swapper. Let me put this in here and see which of those three is the easiest, rather than going to the 3 sites to figure it out. And I know that those are the 3 cheapest transaction fee places, basically. And so this is like the really easy way to just get done what you need to get done through one of those simple swap services.
So why wouldn't we just call it something like easy, like smart swap, right? It's smart, and it just does its thing. We don't need to explain the technical things. It just, this is it, and whatever we're gonna add to it later, it will work, right? So if we will do more stuff, it's good.
I mean, I don't dislike smart swap. I don't think it really tells you anything, though, right? Like smart is kind of a meaningless word that just makes you feel good, right? Like it's a this is classic non-committal, just kind of like trust us. It's great.
Those are all great things you said, John, though. Those are reasons to use it. I do like smart. I think smart swap is another one, and it's also very good because then we get like the swapper. Like that's like a almost reinforces the brand a little there. I mean, it could be smarts. I guess not smart swapper.
Yeah, Augusto, why don't you like the use of word smart? I just it's good to.
Well, I think it's kind of objective. Like, it is smart for us, but I mean, is it really smart? Like, it depends on how you use it.
It reminds me of a favorite saying of mine: is if you have to say that you are something, then you probably aren't.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when I was working on my token standard that I kind of left it aside. When I was talking with Paladino, this guy Paladino who works in Zeppelin, and I was calling a smart token. He told me like, and I remember his advice to avoid using the word smart or objective adjectives in front of things for me that I wanted to give a name, because I mean, this is how I see it, but is it really smart? It wasn't really a smart token. It was just another token who can execute a call. It wasn't smarter. So
yeah, I mean, we need to swallow some of our I don't know what you call it, but like just we need to call it something. It needs to be. It's good that people will ask like, why is it smart? What does it do? And also it can open up the
So I
possibility.
think, is there something we could do? Sorry to cut you off there. What were you gonna...
But just like we need to be more aggressive.
I think the thing we want to evoke is the fact that it's going to be better for gas costs, right? Like, is there a word? Is there like, if we're going for like a brand of it, right? If we're trying to brand it, like, is there something that?
There's also some neutrality, I think, to this, right? It's like, come here for just like the best price to swap, no matter where it is, right? Like, you'll just find it here, and like, yeah.
I mean, but 1inch does that, right? Like, the aggregators do the neutral thing.
So, guys, I'll tell you like a thing I have in my mind. I don't know if it's possible, but I have it in my roadmap to explore it. But so in the future, in my mind, you will be able to see. So you can do the trade in between layers, right? So we can expand this much further than we have now, and calling it something now and using it as a marketing thing until we have all these features is okay. So what it's doing now doesn't need to be describing exactly why we're calling it smart.
I think like the Web 2 term is mediation. Like that's what it does. It takes like a bunch of like, let's say, traffic sources or something, and mediates between them and gives you the best one.
I wasn't familiar with that term though. It's an ad tech term, and I know, and I mean, I've worked in startups, and I know, like, my roommate was an ad tech, and I've never heard that term.
Yeah. Well, that's why. I mean, I don't know. That's why my old company is IPOing at like $2 billion valuation.
I mean, I know there's a lot, but does the consumer actually understand it to be mediation?
Let's maybe open this. Once this functionality exists, we could even open up this to the community and let them use it. And what is the community going to call? We can bring this discussion into Discord, so we can even have a competition for it, right? But for now, I think we need to move to the next topic. And the next topic is DXdAO's one of its most important products, the product of governance. And so Augusto, if you have any progress or updates related to the DX vote or things that you're working on, that would be great.
Yes, I do. I'm working a lot of it, and this is why I'm super delayed on. I should have post my worker proposal, but I was just working on DX vote this week, and I'm finishing the last feature. The idea is the last thing that I need to add is to redeem the reputation and contributions that you have once the proposal gets executed. We successfully executed an update of the configuration of the DX Trust on Rinkeby through DX vote. We created a proposal and I voted for it. So right now what we have on Rinkeby is a DX Trust redeployed, DX vote redeployed with quicker schemes, and I'm working on it, adding this last feature that I just mentioned, the redeem, and working on optimizing some of the event store that we want to use, because all the votes and stakes and all the things that are happening on the voting machine are stored via events, which are immutable. And the idea is that we are going to be storing this on the user local storage or maybe some cache solution. So working on this, and it's working pretty good. You can always check what is happening on the GitHub link, on the GitHub pages link. I'm going to share it now. And we have always the latest deployed version of develop on Rinkeby stored there. Just working on it. I couldn't present it. I was planning to post an update on what we have on Rinkebuy, but I want to add this last feature because I mean it kind of it's not useful if I post something that it doesn't work completely right now. So yeah, once this last feature is added, I'm going to be sharing the redeploy of Rinkebuy on DAO Talk. That's it.
Right. So next, Nylon. Oh, does anyone have any questions?
Yeah. So like, I mean, I guess before we move to BizDev stuff,
yeah,
I will mention that I've been kind of like chatting with Geronimo and John about, basically a certain proposal made by people who have or are leaving DAOstack to develop the next iteration of a governance platform. And yeah, I hope that we'll be able to share like specs and stuff by Monday or Tuesday latest. But yeah, like this incorporates like governance 2.0 and a lot of the work that DXdao has done and then that we've done inside. That's it, DAOstack. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, we're getting closer to we're like at governance 1.7 and we're approaching governance 2.0, which is exciting. We have a vision for it. We just need to build it now, I guess. And we have a lot of the pieces we need. So super exciting. And so Nylon, do you want to now give just a recap of BizDev goings from the last couple weeks or the last call, I guess?
Yeah, sure. So I think in the last call we had, one is kind of discussing the Aluna social potential collaboration that's been ongoing for a while. And the other one is the introduction to Opolis by John from ETH Denver, I guess John from Opolis. And yeah, I think like as we discussed in the call, one of the interesting things for that is like DX Ventures first investment, quote unquote. And yeah, I mean, personally, I'm very bullish on this. And I actually spoke. I spoke to John afterwards, and he's got an interesting take. Like he really wants to raise funds from those who will actually use it, and not, any mostly VCs or stuff like that. I think this is a great fit, and yeah, I can see like more things coming into DX Ventures in the future. And yeah, not sure what else we talked. Like we chatted about a bunch of stuff.
Cool. Yeah, but I was gonna mention DX Ventures near the end, but just since you mentioned it, there is a live signal proposal for DXdao community to vote on DXdao on the idea of DX Ventures and approval to earmark a set of funds related to DX Ventures. And if that passes, it outlines kind of the next steps for how to make individual investments into certain projects. And so if this proposal for the idea of DX Ventures passes, we will then move forward with, maybe we have a few different opportunities in the pipeline, and maybe picking one of those to get one deal done would be a great first step, which would be like a signal proposal about that specific project from DXdao community, and then a more formal proposal that involves the actual project and the approval by DXdao for the funding to move to that project and the terms of what the DXdao would receive in return. And so that's an exciting initiative that is happening. And so that's related to BizDev, but it ties in with all the different products and actually the tools that DXdao needs as a decentralized collective. A lot of these tools don't really exist, and so DXdao is excited to help fund and build these projects and find teams. And so once we have this approved, we can announce this out to the world, and hopefully we have, friends of the space and projects coming to DXdao with opportunities that DXdao will have like this kind of deal flow to make decisions on, which will be super exciting. So thanks, Nylon. The next would be the governance call. Chris, if you want to give a roundup of what's happening in the governance world.
Yeah, so I think this week was the first week we kind of went over proposals on 2 different bases, the main base and the one on XDAI. So still a lot of activity on the main base, a couple worker proposals there, and then also a couple treasury diversification proposals. And then there's 2 different proposals that I wanted to flag. That one is 3-day. The first one is deposit 150 ETH into Swapper on XDAI. So as the conversation was going earlier about the Swapper multi-chain, we want to put some liquidity in Swapper on XDAI so that it can be kind of gain some revenue, but also kind of help support the efforts we're doing there. So that will go through the dev multi-sig and then into DXdao and then into Swapper on XDAI. And then second is a proposal to deposit 100 ETH in Swapper on mainnet. So this is going through the dev multi-sig and then through a newly deployed liquidity relayer. And then the tokens will sit in the liquidity relayer, and then the ownership of the liquidity relayer will be transferred over to DXdao. And the holdup we're waiting for there is we need a new multi-call scheme to pass, which will take 17 days. So we'll test it with this first proposal of 100 ETH. And then we'll have some initial liquidity on Swapper mainnet. So I think both of those are important, and we'll probably want to think about doing like another one of those in the coming days, assuming everything goes smooth there. And then we have now DXdao or DXdao based on XDAI, and so a couple different worker proposals there that are going on. So this is kind of the first couple days that we're trying to do worker proposals on XDAI. There's still a lot of questions that we talked through on the call. Really, I think the key things to highlight there are, one, we need to do a quarterly update on the rep rewards on mainnet. So Nylon, or I guess Metronome, had presented some ability to be able to do this in multiple rep rewards in a single transaction. And it's really important, I think, that as we keep track of the mainnet rep awards, we need to have that done every quarter to do that. So we'll be tracking that. And then second is to include this information in the proposal, right? We should be able to track this already, but it would be very easy to do that. I shared a calculator in the little spreadsheet I was working on there, but there still were a couple questions on how we're structuring this with the mainnet. So I wanted to open actually one more thing for structuring it. So mainnet rep. So XDAI now has 850,000 rep, and mainnet base has 1.51 million rep. So these are in absolute amounts. And this is because 2 reasons. One, when XDAI was ported and mapped, this was not all of the rep was mapped for inactive Gnosis safe addresses, because Gnosis safe could be ported over address to address because it's a smart contract wallet. So there was a chunk of rep that was missed out there by people that did not map over. Plus, the mapping was done in October, November. So all of the rep that's been earned since then is not included on there. As a result, there's as I said, less rep there. I think the consensus and the conclusion is any amount of mainnet rep that is owned by an address, so an address that owns mainnet rep, the same rep amount is claimable on XDAI. And so I think there is there was I think Hexel had a proposal, and then there's one for Dev Violet, basically to do like a rep sync. And so the consensus, and correct, open up to other comments, is that mainnet rep can flow to XDAI, but not the other way. So questions or thoughts or comments on the kind of XDAI discussion, or I guess the governance call in general?
Quick question about the rep flow. You're saying that that rep should go one way from mainnet to XDAI, but for the workers that want to live on XDAI for work proposals and everything that get rep issued from past proposals, will that be ineligible for mainnet rep? Like if I were to keep track of my past proposals and make a request 1 point on mainnet, would that be a consideration?
So all of the rep that you're earning, even if you're doing your worker proposal through XDAI, at least for the next 6 months and probably till a governance 2.0 system is included, it's very important that you also earn mainnet rep with your proposal. And the only way that we can do that really is doing multiple rep awards every quarter. So the XDAI rewards you can claim, but it's really important that we match up those awards to actual like mainnet rep awards that we do in a multiple award batch.
Okay, awesome.
Yes. So as Chris did in his proposal on XDAI, he got payment, but he also recorded the amount of mainnet rep that he is owed from that worker proposal, and he put that in the proposal. Now, he doesn't yet have the rep on mainnet, but that's what will be topped up in the quarterly top-ups for all rep earners, because it's recorded in their proposal on XDAI.
And this is going to create some overhead. Like we're literally just gonna have to go through and like make sure this is accurate every quarter. We're gonna have to go through every worker proposal, make sure everyone's accounted for. But like I think we have to do it, and we're just creating a system to be able to count that up more easily. The one question that I think is still outstanding is the ways to calculate the rep award, right? So in the current worker compensation guidelines, it's 0.1667% of total rep. It's hard to find the total amount of rep, and it's hard to multiply it by that random number. So there is there's an alternative way we could do this, which is every month there would be like the 0.1667% of rep. That would be the same number for everybody that month, and then everyone would just add that number. They would know what that number is, and they would add it in their proposals. And then even when we'd be going back to accounting, we'd be able to figure that out. So I don't know if people have thoughts on which one. Should we just calculate the current rep, make that easier to do? Or should we just have a single number for every month for all contributors?
Yeah, I did some thinking into this, and I think it makes a lot of sense to have like a single absolute number, mainly because if it's not the same if you do it. So the thing is, the percentage changes on every payout somebody is doing. The absolute number is changing, and it's not the same if you do a payout 3 times a month. You get your normal monthly payout. You do it every month, and then you do it once at the end of the 3 months. It's not the same if you express it in percentage. You will not get the same absolute amount. And if you do like there's an idea John did bring up yesterday. If you say we fixed on the first of the month, we look at the numbers, how many rep they are, and then we get like we can calculate percentages out of this, and then we distribute it like this. And then afterwards, also after 3 months, or somebody is not doing his proposal at the right time, you can look at the numbers from the 2 months ago, before, and see how many absolute rep it represents.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, I think it's much easier. And of course, you have some unsharpness in this, but in a way, it's also more fair, because if you see that people are working monthly, but now it depends on which point you submit your proposal, and then you get more or less rep. And in a way, it would be more fair if you say it's always the first of the month who is the absolute rep term for this.
Yeah, I see a future where in our docs, our new documentation area, you have a table and you literally have the start of each month. So you have each month, you have we'll say the start of each month, you just have a table that says how much total rep there is. Then it shows a number for how much a full-time worker, 0.166% times the full amount. And so like you could go back and look, if I worked in February 2021 for the whole month, this is exactly how much rep I earned in that month. And you could have that table and it'd be very transparent. Everyone could go and look at that table for each month. And that would just extend as we go through time.
Yeah, I think this makes sense, but yeah, maybe people have to think about this.
I think looking forward to governance 2.0 too, the absolute number will make more sense because like one of the things in governance 2.0 is it's like rep is almost like an independent kind of like tracker of contributions made to DXdao, and then voting power is like derived from that, right? And so they can have the limits and time taken into account when calculating voting power, but you kind of want this independent tracker of contributions, and I think doing this in governance 2.0 is going to open up a lot of cool possibilities of what could be done with rep even outside of DXdao. Like it's almost like it's real reputation on chain, and that's pretty cool. But then, I mean, if you do that and it's like, somebody could have earned rep years ago and that's still there as a number, the percentage is less meaningful in the future than just like the actual number that you have.
Yeah, because I think that the important things now, or things I like about it, are like that it's like the same number. It's like standard kind of throughout, right? Everyone has it. It's very simple. And then two, the reason the percentage works or has worked is because it is a like automatic inflation like kind of component. It kind of like adds to that. But to John's point, that's less important in governance 2.0 because like inflation is not like a core, like the core way of growing because we want to be able to earn rep in other ways. So yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense. I mean, I think if most people kind of agree that we'll have some way of publishing it like every month, right? We'll have some standard way of doing it, of like taking a snapshot, and then it would be like any proposal for that month. And yeah, I mean, I guess it could matter a little bit if people are like doing proposals at the end of months or like the beginning of months. I don't know if we want to create rules around that or if it's just any proposal within that month. But it would also be good if everyone kind of gets on a more consistent basis, like working basis, where everyone's like starting at the beginning of the month. But that's a whole other thing.
I don't think the 0.166% times the total rep over beginning of month versus end of month like matters that much. It's like slight differences, right? Cool. Anyway, the last topic that we talked about a lot the last couple weeks that we haven't touched on yet, I think, is the DXd buyback. There's been some interesting conversations. I don't know, Tammy, if you wanted to just give like a brief overview for the community about what the thoughts are there without too many details, just so to catch people up that are only watching this call.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So the basic status of the buyback is we've discussed the parameters for the buyback, which is that considering the current price of DXd, contributors as well as the community members have agreed that it is time to reward DXd holders by buying back about 1 million DAI worth. of DXD. The period of time this is going to be over is approximately 6 months. The manner in which we will be doing it is to do it through a relayer all on chain and be as automated as possible. Also, something that's been discussed that we're finalizing is the price of DXD if for whatever reason market conditions go up or down. If for whatever reason the price of DXD does meet book value or even meet a certain percentage of book value, which we have not yet determined, we would stop the buyback program because there would be no need, because the price wouldn't be justified for us to repurchase at that time. And so there'll be some documentation circulating about the specifics that I just mentioned, but that's I think the long and short of it. And we'll hopefully, once we get the on-chain technicalities worked out, start the program shortly in the coming weeks.
Great.
And just to add on, it's relevant to that and also the swapper liquidity that Chris mentioned earlier. I'm documenting kind of all the steps that are going to be involved in kind of, not just actually doing the proposals, but also the deployments that need to be made and the testing, et cetera. So I'll be sharing hopefully something tomorrow at the product strategy call to help give clarity to everyone on what the process for these things, the DXD buyback, the swapper liquidity will look like.
Great, thanks. All right, I think that's right on time. I think we've covered everything that was on the agenda. If anyone has anything else they want to talk about, raise it now.
I can give a quick recap of the kind of communications and community if you'd like. I know we're over, so I can keep it brief.
Yeah, go ahead. Thanks, Keen.
Yeah, so I made a post in marketing, if you haven't seen it yet, about our stats for February. Discord incentive program has been doing very well. We've seen a lot more community chatter and discussion than we have previously, at least in my time. So very happy with that. I believe we are just over 600 members now in a month. Where are we here? Twitters are doing well. January was a little slower, so we're doing very well compared to January, and we're on par with our regular impressions otherwise. In Discord, I've implemented a price bot in the top right. We have emojis now in the Discord, as well as a Telegram channel that has cross-compatibility with Telegram. So chatting in the Discord, you can chat directly with Telegram if you don't use it, and vice versa. And yeah, just a quick update there.
Cool. And one interesting thing that I think the team's been doing related to Twitter and Omen is actually highlighting a handful of the cool community, well, a bunch of Omen markets that are related to different communities in the DeFi and Ethereum space, and trying to engage their Twitter communities into and pull them into the into Omen and hopefully try out and bet on some of those markets. And hopefully, we've had also some interest about people creating some of their own markets related to their own communities too. So I think the one thing that we run into there is people create some markets, but then there's not the liquidity, and maybe they don't want to put in the liquidity. And so a market without liquidity is not that useful, but it's a step in the right direction. And eventually, hopefully, we'll have some more kind of professional liquidity providers taking advantage of those markets. But
absolutely.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining, and see everyone next week.
Cheers.
See you guys.
Ciao.
Have a good day.
Bye, guys. Bye-bye.